All right, so you have read the title and you definitely understand what's going on. Tennessee GOP expels two House Democrats who call for gun control with protesters. Now, you may ask, what's the significance of you being expelled from your general assembly? General assembly. Well, let's go ahead and dive into that. And for those that don't know me, this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. I think there's going to be a lot of retaliation. What's going on? We already discussed what's going on with BRICS and the world government when it comes down to the currency exchange. Now, what's going on is the GOP they're they're expelling each other. So let's talk about it. Let's get down to this, right? So GOP expels. So let's go ahead. This is going to be a quick video. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's A woman crashed the live report on the conservative TV network to give a passionate. So this is about what happened with the school.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this?
And what's going on right here. Republican Tennessee lawmakers expelled two House Democrats and failed to expel another after they joined protesters and calling for stronger gun control following the school shooting. Now, for whatever reason, when you say certain words on YouTube and you say the word gun, you get your video. Honestly, they demonetize the video, and then you got to fight to get the video re-monetized. But nevertheless, I still want to report on this type of news. So, Democratic State Representative Justin Jones and Pearson, I'm sorry, were expelled Thursday, while state Republican Gloria Johnson managed to hold on to her seat. Jones and Pearson are both black. Johnson is white. So ask yourself, did that have a significant role in why they were expelled? Well, people around the country are feeling like race played a role in this. Um, I'll reserve my opinion while I report the news. The expulsion hearings were in response to the three Democrats leading protesters and chants on the House floor last week without being recognized to speak. Hundreds of protesters, many of them children, called for stronger gun control following the school shooting that left three children and three adults deleted last month. All right. It was the fourth time since the end of the Civil War that Tennessee members expelled one of their elected colleagues. That's what makes this so significant, because this is not something that happened to elected officials. Of course, you can be impeached. Of course, you can be recalled. But being expelled by your colleagues is something that's not short of a retaliation. This is really major, and this is happening in real time. And I was on my way home, and I stopped myself when I saw this, and I said, well, I got to get this news out, right? So in 1866, six lawmakers were ousted for attempting to prevent the ratification of the 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people. So you see the significance of how this is such it's a crime to do such a thing. In 1980, GOP Representative Robert Fisher was kicked out of the state house after being convicted of taking $1,000 bribe to delete a committee bill. All right, so you see the significance. This don't happen all the time, folks. And in 2016, Republican State Representative Jeremy Durham was voted out of the House after 22 women accused him of sexual misconduct. In Thursday, historic case, at least one of the lawmakers were expelled for chanting for the prevention of gun violence. In the Republican-led resolution to expel the members, those protests were described as disorderly behavior that knowingly and intentionally brought disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives. So we definitely going to talk about the significance of being expelled, right? So we're going to talk about what it means when you're expelled from the General Assembly. We called for a ban on assault weapons, and you called for an assault on democracy. Democracy, said Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones. So he was one of the ones that was expelled. House Republican leader William Lambert began expulsion proceedings by giving each member facing expulsion 20 minutes to speak. Those members was also allowed to respond to questions from fellow lawmakers during the hearing. Jones, who represents a district in Nashville, was the first to speak and called I can't even speak, right? The proceedings a spectacle. What we see today is a spectacle. What we see today is a lynch mob assembled not to lynch me, but our democratic process, Jones said. Jones said he was standing up for constituents when he joined them in protest for gun control. I was standing for young people, many of whom can't even vote yet, many who are disenfranchised, but all of whom are terrified by the continued trend of mass shootings plaguing our state and plaguing this nation. And for people that don't know, America leads the world in mass shooting. So in America is recognized as a mass shooting anytime it's 3 people or more. It's considered a mass shooting, and that happens quite often here. A lot of those mass shootings are the results of a domestic violence happen inside of homes, but they also take place outside of the home from time to time. Jones said Republican lawmakers have put their heads in the sand and refused to listen to the voice of the people. We called for a ban on assault weapons, and you called for an assault on democracy, Jones said. Democratic State Representative Bob Freeman said before the vote that he would set a very dangerous precedent. There are 78,000 people that Jones represents, Freeman said. He was elected in a competitive primary. This is who the district wants to represent him. Jones was expelled in a vote 75-26. After Jones was expelled, Johnson, who represents a district in Knoxville, was next to defend her actions. Under questioning for GOP state representative Gino Bolso, Johnson denied that she was yelling during the protest. I believe the charges were that I was yelling and I was not yelling, Johnson said. We may have broken the house rule by approaching the wheel, but much of this document is false. Boso pressed Johnson on whether or not she chanted with protesters. What is my crime, sir? Johnson asked. You continue to ask this question. I think we've been through it over and over and over. I came to the wheel. I stood with my colleagues. I fought for my constituents in a quiet, non-desk pounding way. Johnson, a former teacher, said we spoke up for the people in her district who are sick of gun violence. I did what I felt those folks wanted me to do. She said, it's not a secret. My folks sent me here because they know I'm a fighter. I will fight for them. It takes 66 votes to expel a House member, meaning the 65-30 vote was ultimately not enough to expel Johnson. During her own remarks, Pearson reminded his fellow lawmakers that the U.S. was founded on protests. And this is Pearson here, Mr. Justin Pearson. You who celebrate July 4th, 1776, pop fireworks, eat hot dogs. You say to protest is wrong because you spoke out of turn, because you spoke up for people who are marginalized, because you spoke up for kids who won't ever speak again in a country built on people who speak out of turn, he said. Democratic State Representative Jesse Chisholm addressed the chamber saying He wanted to speak to the humanity of everyone in the room. Nothing that Pearson, 29, hasn't been a member of the House for long. Pearson is a member that is just learning the decorum of this body, a member who has proven himself to be hardworking, articulate, eloquent. Chisholm said, and although this member moves a little bit different from most of us, even go as far as to say he moves different than I do. This is a member that deserves to be a part of this body. Pearson was expelled in a vote 69-26. After his expulsion, a crowd could be heard chanting in the gallery, "Shame on you, shame on you." So let's type here, what does it mean? What happens when you are expelled from the house? All right. What happens when you expelled from the house? All right. Let's see here. Testing, testing, testing. All right. So my people done left. I had more people on, but nevertheless, let's see what happens. Let's click here. Expulsion, basically what I'm looking at is, could the expelled house members run in a district? So if you expelled, that means they are kicking you out the house. Yes. All right. So let's come back up here and let's talk about what happens. The representatives likely will be replaced by interim members selected by the district's county legislative body. Knox County Elections Administrator Chris Davis said, in Johnson's case, the commission, which also is made up of a Republican supermajority, Davis said is required to appoint an interim. Could the expelled House members run in their districts again? Yes, they could. The Tennessee Attorney General ruled so in 1981. Opinion about expelled members with felony convictions. Breaking House rules is not illegal and does not prevent a member who was expelled from being appointed to the seat winning the election again. Could the expelled House member run for the interim position? Leaders cannot stop an ousted member from running off again, and they cannot expel them for the same offense if they're reelected. USA Network. Tennessee is researching this through the 1981 ruling likely applies. Assistant Shelby County Attorney Marcy Ingram said she sees no reason why the commission couldn't just reappoint Pearson. So this is a slippery slope, folks. I don't want to make this all, what's going to happen is these people could be put back in office. Yeah, you expelled them, but you cannot re-expel them for the same offense. So could the House leaders block the appointed election of an ousted member? They're researching it, but it's not going to happen. So let's get right back here. In Tennessee, it's a crime and a travesty of what happened to these young men. Could they be reelected or reappointed? Absolutely. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we live in a game of politics. The Democrats are not going to just put somebody else. What I would do is, you slap my face, I'm going to slap you back by putting those same guys back into office. So I don't want to make this a long and drawn out video. Put it in the comments on how you feel about these two guys being expelled, being kicked out. They don't have to allow interims back in, meaning they can block it because they have the supermajority. So let's put those in the comments. So this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. Please like, comment, subscribe. And once again, we will see you in the next video.